Hey, everybody, welcome to Away Games, Chicago Cubs and Baseball podcast hosted by two comedians. I'm one of them. My name's Kevin McCaffrey, here with Adam. What's up, Adam?
What's up? I'm Adam Mamwala. I'm the other one. And we have a special guest today, do we not, Kevin?
We do, and this is, I used to work at Letterman, and when I worked at the Letterman show, it was always a thing the talent department tried to do was to get the guests before the competitors got the guests. So this is good because I think we've outbooked the compound, the Cubs podcast, the Hap, Horner, Meckes, and Short podcast. We were the first to book Alec Mills, Cubs pitcher Alec Mills. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, how are you guys?
We're all right.
We're doing all right. Where are you at this moment?
So I am at my house in Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm born and raised here, so I've lived here my whole life. So this is still home for me.
Nice.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Do you still have family in town?
Yeah, my mom and dad are 5 minutes away, and then my wife's mom and dad are 15 minutes away. So it's really nice.
That's
man,
great.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. So how long have you been back home then? So like when did you get sent home from Arizona?
So I guess when the spring training got canceled or whatever, I stayed for maybe another week, just because I thought it was a better setup there for me, a better place to throw, work out and stuff. And then, as news kind of progressed and really the virus progressed, it was kind of one of those things where, hey, this isn't going to be a couple week thing. This is going to be a long time. So kind of just picked up everything, packed up as quick as we could, and we all flew home. So I guess that's probably it's been over a month now. I'm not sure exactly.
It's hard to tell. Days don't really have meaning,
I mean, I couldn't even tell you. I think today's Wednesday, right? I'm just.
It's a Wednesday, but it might as well be Saturday.
I know. Yeah.
It really depends on how you approach it yourself. It could be every day could be Saturday at this point, or you could make it a more of a working approach. Yeah.
But I wanted to start there because from what we saw of you in the spring, it looked like your stuff was really sharp, and I wanted to know like how frustrating is that to be coming into this season, and I assume feeling pretty good about where you're at, and then all of a sudden everything shuts down.
I mean, yeah, frustrating. Obviously, I mean, I came into the season ready to go, and we were, I think a couple weeks outside of opening day, and I thought I gave myself a real good shot at making the team. So obviously frustrating in that way. But at the same time, obviously, being a realist, I was aware of the situation and what we needed to do as a country to, really figure this thing out and get on top of it. So, just kind of indifferent. Now, that I'm sitting at home doing nothing, obviously I'm ready to get going. Play some baseball. I mean, I got ready all off season for it, and that's what we do. So I'd like to get back to it.
I was going to say, I myself and my brothers were there for the first couple of games. Were you started the first game out of the spring? Was that right?
I did. Yeah, I started the very first game. Yep.
Yeah, and it seemed like I don't know if the radar gun is hot in Arizona or whatever, but it seemed like your velocity was up in that. I feel like we saw some 95s on the board there.
Oh, well, it's definitely hot for that. I don't think I was.
Yeah.
But no, I think it was a little bit up from last year, maybe one or two ticks, especially from spring training of last year. I kind of really never stopped throwing, just kind of took maybe a week or two off and then threw a couple times a week for the first few months of the off season, and then got back into it a little quicker. And, really wanted to long toss more often and get my arm back into shape and, be ready to go and kind of fight the cobwebs of spring training. If I could fight those in, January and February better than, March and April. So.
And was there anything in particular that you were working on in the off season? Because I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, I think, didn't you pitch that last weekend against St. Louis? You had like a 9-10 strikeout game in that last series.
Yeah, I think I threw second to last or third to last game.
Yeah. So, it's a nice way to end the season and go into.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good way for me to end. Obviously,
not for the Cubs.
Team, it was not what we wanted.
Sure.
It was nice to beat those guys though a couple times in their place. I think. I think they beat us the last game maybe, but outside of that, I think we won the first three. So that was nice.
Yeah, and you and the other strong right-handed pitcher Ben Zobrist both had memorable shows.
Yeah, I know. He still talks about that to this day. His most memorable moment.
What a way to retire!
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I had anything specific to work on really. A few things grip-wise, maybe with the two-seam, stuff like that. But hadn't really gotten a chance to dive into it yet. And work on it. Really, I wanted to wait till I got on the mound and
Yeah.
at full intensity to see what it would do there. But it was one of those things where I wanted to make sure I was ready to go, mechanics wise and shape wise, to be able to go. And so actually, right about when we were getting canceled and delayed is when I was going to start adding in a lot of that two seam grip stuff and stuff like that. So unfortunately, didn't get to do that, but I will in the future, sure.
Yeah. Now, I would assume your goal is to start for this team, but how do you manage your expectations in terms of wanting to do that, I assume, but then also knowing that they might want you as like long relief or out of the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody wants to be the best. I mean, obviously I'd love to start for this team, but at the same time, realize how good the starters are. And if they're throwing well, I'd be glad to come out of the pen and be the long man, get a short inning, get some outs when you need it. I'm here to do whatever I can for the Cubs.
Yeah. It's also a tricky thing. I mean, like Adam and I are both stand-up comics, and one thing that'll happen, people don't always want to like host or MC the show, but it's an extremely hard job. So then guys who are good at guys who can do both end up getting sucked into that difficult position of doing everything.
Yeah.
More. It seems like the pitchers with your profile kind of get that too, where it's like, if you are able to start and relieve, it seems like you end up having to jump around a lot more,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I guess, a whirlwind, but at the same time, I mean, for me, I take it as something that's a positive. I mean,
oh sure,
I can start and relieve, and you have more options for that guy. So it's one of those things where I'll take anything I can get.
Yeah. Had they given you any sense in terms of where you were at in spring training of how they wanted to use you or what decisions they were going to make, or was that probably coming a little bit down the line?
I mean, I think I don't really think they told me anything, for sure. But I think, like you said, they were probably going to make a decision on that very soon, right before we got postponed. So, I mean, I think it was real close to me knowing something. But Chatwood was throwing well, and I was throwing well, so I think it was fun. It was exciting for us to both, really throw well and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gavin.
No, I was just gonna say it's a good team problem, and it's one that that the Cubs haven't had every year in recent years, where you feel like you're actually 6, 7, 8 deep in the starting rotation.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think there is. I mean, there was guys in camp. I mean, obviously you got Adbear, and then you got Colin Ray. I mean, he was the AAA pitcher of the year last year, so obviously that had some success there.
Yeah.
And then you got Jarrell Cotton, stuff like that. Brock Stewart. There's plenty of guys that can really throw it.
Right.
And I think that there's depth there that maybe the everyday fan, not everyday fan, but the casual fan won't realize. But there's guys there that can really throw, and I think they brought in some good pitchers.
When you mentioned, Colin Ray was AAA pitcher of the year last year. And you spent some time there last year. It was just, it seems like every AAA park was Coors Field last year. Basically, you look at the numbers, and it's insane across the board how hard it was to pitch in AAA. I also noticed that your strikeout rate at the major league level is above what it was at the minor league level. I don't know if you know this, but your current major league strikeout rate sits right between Steven Strasburg and Chris Sale. So if you had the qualifying innings, you'd be sitting at third behind Sale and Darvish right now.
Oh, well, hey, that's a good thing. So you're telling me I'm as good as those guys, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. If you want to forward this podcast to the front office, please be our guest, please.
Hey, if it sounds like that, I'll do it for sure.
Yeah.
But somebody asked me that in an interview I had not too long ago, and I don't even know. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where I think as I get up with Chicago, the research and development department is really good at what they do, and they have a very good game plan against hitters, and I think I have the ability to pitch to a game plan very well. So I think it's just a combination of that, and who knows? Maybe some bigger parks in AAA. I mean,
sure.
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I'll take it, but I mean,
yeah. The numbers look good. Yeah. I mean, it seems like they're progressing the way you'd want. So
yeah, I will not complain. So
yeah.
That's great.
What have they given you or any of the players any sort of idea of timeline more than like everybody knows right now? I guess mainly meaning that like everyone knows nothing timeline wise.
No, I mean, it's funny. People ask me all the time. I mean, I think a lot of times I try not to stay on Twitter with the baseball stuff. I mean, a lot of times I think you guys know more than I do because of the speculation coming out. I mean, they haven't told us anything for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, we know as much as you guys with the speculation of, the whether it's all in Arizona, whether we're just going to do normal, no fans. Now I think they've come out with a 3-state thing. I don't know. I mean, uh, your guess is as good as mine when it comes to that. I think
Yeah.
more or less they're waiting on something that the government's going to give them an answer.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, you're good to go. This is the date when it's all safe. We think you can continue. I think that's what they're waiting for. So,
Have you had any ability to throw down there or train while you're home?
I mean, I actually bought a net off of Amazon, so I've been throwing into a net.
Don't throw into your window. We saw a video of somebody.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly had some trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I throw away from the house, so that's good.
That's a very smart. That's good. Yeah.
No, but I throw into a net and then just have some various workout gear I can do at home. I'm just trying to do what I can.
Sure.
Obviously, none of the gyms are open.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you got to do what you can. I mean, everybody's in the same boat, so you can play the woe is me card all you want, but everybody's going through the same thing. So it's going to be a crazy season when we get going.
Oh yeah.
It's just to see how everybody comes back, and I mean, I know everybody's itching to get back and playing, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's worse. Like, would it be worse to have been in the NBA or NHL where you're like about to get to the playoffs and then everything shuts down, or be in your position where you've been working towards this moment and then it doesn't even start? I guess it sucks either way.
Yeah. I mean, it stinks either way. I mean, either way. I mean, I think to be almost to the playoffs and get shut down would be tough, especially if you're a team that's having a really good year and it's got a good shot, or a team that's surprising people and is on the cusp of the playoffs and stuff like that. But I mean, I think everybody that's playing all sports really just wants to get back to normal and get back to what we're doing and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Being back in basically your hometown, have you gotten a chance? I mean, obviously maybe not now, but in recent years, if you've been living in Clarksville, have you gotten a chance to go back to your high school to talk to the team there? And do you have like old coaches that are still around in town?
Yeah. So the high school coach that is there now is actually still the exact same coach that I had.
Okay.
So actually this year, I was able to speak at their, I don't know what first pitch dinner, I think is what it's called.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those things where like the team every year, has a fundraising dinner really, to kick off their season. And I think a lot of teams try to get guest speakers. So actually I was fortunate enough to speak this year there. So that was a lot of fun to go back. The high school now has actually been remodeled and stuff like that. So the inside is completely different than when I was there. So it's kind of cool to go back and see all that.
Is that from an Alec Mills endowment?
They wish. No, I have not.
Sure.
I've not been able to do that yet. So maybe that's
yeah, that's fine.
Get that first big contract under.
I think I'd have to pitch like Chris Sale and Yu Darvish to
exactly.
endow that. So
yeah, just keep
that's
it
cool though.
Yeah.
And actually, we were going to tell you. So Kevin has performed at your college. We know you went to UT Martin.
Really?
I was actually
I did a show there last year. I think in November. Last year when
really awesome.
Yeah,
and I was booked there probably when you were in college, and then the show got snowed out. There was like a random snowstorm in Tennessee. It was like December of 2013. Would you have been in college at that time?
No, that was I got drafted in 12, so that was the year after I was there. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, well, and Martin, when it snows there, the town shuts down. We don't have any snow plows or anything like that to take.
Yeah, it was like half an inch of snow, and
so when it snows, they shut everything down. I'm sure hey, you can't come in. All that kind of stuff. So.
Oh yeah, it snowed. It weirdly snowed when I was there too, and it was a super nice theater that they had, and the guy who was running it, like, he spent some time in New York a long time ago, and he was super nice and an old pro, but there was literally 9 people in the theater because it was a snowstorm. So it's a big theater to do for 9, but
tough crowd, huh?
Yeah, very, very, very friendly, but like you could dedicate several minutes to each person personally.
It's more of a Q&A.
Yeah, it really is. Just
so did you grow up rooting for the Braves, or what? Like, what was your team growing up?
No, so it's actually funny. I actually grew up a Cubs fan. So my my mom and dad are both from the Chicago area. My mom is actually from Glen Ellen, so like the western suburb. My dad's a little further south. He's about 2 hours south. right around Danville, Illinois. I don't know how familiar you are
Oh,
with the
sure, right
state.
around the border.
Yeah,
Over
I'm
by
from
Indiana.
Aurora, and you're from where, Kevin, again?
Hinsdale, Clarendon Hills area. My barber is in Glen Ellen. When I go back, we both Adam and I both live in New York now. But when I go back to the Chicago area, because my mom lives in Elmhurst, my brothers are in Chicago. I go to my Midwestern barber is is in
Okay,
Glen Ellen.
yeah. So
Yeah,
my mom grew up there, so I think I kind of got grandfathered into being a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
great.
So I actually remember going to several games with my grandfather, and it was kind of cool. Um, Unfortunately, he passed away before all this had happened, but
Yeah.
it was kind of cool for me to be able to pitch in Wrigley and be on the Chicago Cubs after all the fandom I had growing up and all the memories of my
That's
grandfather
so cool.
and family and stuff like that. So it was really surreal. It was one of those things where I think it really hit me when I stood on the mound and was able to look up and see the Harry Carey sign right next to the press box. So that was, for me, that was kind of when I realized, like, oh crap, this is Wrigley Field. So it was kind of cool for me.
Oh, totally. Because there's, obviously making the major leagues with any team is wonderful, but it would be hard to have the same emotional "wow, I'm here" moment in Miami. Maybe,
Well,
like,
yeah.
just
No,
be like,
and
man, my grandfather loved the home run sculpture so much, and it
yeah,
brings back so many memories.
yeah, he was a big fan of the bright orange.
Yes, it's his favorite color. He
Yeah.
loved Fresh Prince of Bel Air. He loved those bright colors.
That's
Yeah.
always, yeah, but it's been very interesting to me. It's like, most baseball players obviously grew up being big fans, and then to be playing against a team that maybe you loved growing up. Like your current teammate, Jason Kipnis, grew up a huge Cubs fan, and then he almost beat the Cubs in 2016. So I always feel like that must be a weird situation to, like, in your heart, you're still a fan of the team, but you're a professional player on a different team. But I guess it
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
matter.
yeah, obviously when it was, so I actually was with Kansas City in 16 before I got traded over in 17. It's when the Cubs won it. And
Yeah.
like you said, it was one of those things where when they won the World Series, like me being a lifelong fan, like, I mean, even though the Kansas City was my employer, I was pumped that the Cubs won. So, for that offseason for them to trade me, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. I'm, joining the world champ. So that was a really cool moment for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And I was gonna ask you about your debut. So if I have the date right, I'll never forget your major league debut because it's my birthday. It's according to the internet, it's May 18th, 2016. Does that sound right to
That
you?
sounds
Red
right. Yeah.
Sox?
I don't know. I have, it's funny because this is behind me. I can look at it, but that's
You
actually,
got
Oh
it
yeah,
down.
we can do Alec Mills cribs here a little bit.
yeah.
We got some baseball
Yeah.
stuff
Well,
in
I
play.
tried to give the only scenery I have in my house. So
Oh, I love it.
you're going to
It's
get.
good.
So.
And so, from what I looked up, it was a doubleheader against the Red Sox. I guess you pitched in the second game,
I did. Yeah.
and you faced some heavy hitters. And I couldn't find the pitch, but according to Baseball Reference, you hit Mookie Betts
I did.
first
I
appearance.
hit. I
Now,
hit.
was that a
Mookie.
power move? Was that like, I'm in the big leagues, I'm going to let him know who's boss, or what was going on?
A kid can dream, but that was the furthest thing for a power move. People always ask. I don't even know if I remember the outing. I was just going so fast, moving at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I hit Mookie. I actually hit Xander Bogaerts too, I believe.
Man, you're
Hit 'em
hitting a
all.
lot of all-star appearances here. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Got thrown
efficiency
out in
of
your
this.
first
Yeah,
appearance.
and then I think I walked a couple. I mean, it was a tough outing. I got maybe 2 outs, I think,
Mm.
uh, and actually got pulled out. Big Poppy was actually on deck.
You were
Well,
about to hit him too.
That day. It was fortunate that I was not facing him because he probably would have punished me. So Chen-Ming Wong actually came in and saved the day for me. So that was a cool experience. To be able to debut there and against that lineup was a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's that like? I mean, it's a moment that I'm sure you thought about for probably your entire life since you were a little kid. Like, how surreal is that to be stepping on the mound for your first appearance?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to talk about. I'm still getting goosebumps. I got goosebumps right now talking about it. So for me, I mean, like you said, it was obviously a lifelong dream that happened, and uh, it's tough to explain. Like I said, I don't even know. I don't remember much of it. I remember running out to the mound, and obviously some of the pitching. But I think it was one of those things where after it was over was when I was really able to kind of take a seat and take a deep breath and be like, oh my goodness, like this really happened. It's a dream come true. I just want to be able to celebrate this with friends and family and things like that. And I think it doesn't really hit you to the fact of that, like, I'm in the big leagues, all that, and until a couple days later, and that's when you're like, oh, okay, let's hang out here. Let's have a couple more games here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at that moment, I was actually sent down that night. I was
The night
26th
of your debut?
Yeah, I was the 26th man for the doubleheader, so I kind of had to go back down.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, I went back up in September that year, so it wasn't the worst thing. But yeah, I mean, just I think surreal is a good word to put it. You know, I, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. It's usually
Yeah,
that.
it's a hard thing to articulate, and most people have not
Yeah.
experienced it. You mentioned running out to the mound. Do you have specific uh, intro music to the mound for yourself that you've chosen out?
So I never really had. I've never been a big like. I'd like to think that I don't really listen to it. One of those
Yeah,
things. When I got to Chicago, I guess it was 2 years ago now. No, three years ago now.
yeah.
Um, you know, they came up and asked me like, "Hey, what do you want your walkout?" Like, "Oh, you know, I don't know, pick whatever." And I think David Bodie was actually beside me at the time, and he was like, "Hey, I got him. Like, don't worry, I'll pick it for you."
That's
And I
why it's
think,
also early for Bodie to be making calls too. I feel
well,
like
I think it was because for me, it was both of our like we were really early up into the Cubs, and like he was like,
right.
"Hey, like I got something for you, man." I think we may have had lockers beside each other. I don't remember.
DJ Bodie, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So
Yeah,
he actually picked "Up Down" by Morgan Wallen. Which looking, you know, listening and stuff like that, it's actually not a bad pitcher's anthem, I think. I don't
yeah.
know. But I had success with it that year. And then so I was like, let's do it again next year. And had success with it ever since. So it's kind of become my thing. So now when it comes on, I blast it and stuff like that. So it's
Nice.
been cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Now, is
great.
that the same walk-up music that you get when you bat, or did they let you pick a different one?
No, well, you could get a different one, but you know, let's just ride with it. I got a couple of hits right now. So
Yeah, you
I'm
got
riding
for
high on
In your
that.
first in your first start, you got a hit, didn't you?
Yeah. First ever at bat got a hit. So I was
oh
batting
man.
1,000 for a while. So
Oh, we're talking about, I mean, again, sample size, but all these rate stats. You had the 1,000 going in, over 10 Ks per nine. Uh,
I mean,
real,
I think I'm already down to like 150 batting average, but that's
okay.
okay. We won't talk about
But
that.
Yeah, you had,
it's a hard 150.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It is.
yeah. There was a moment of Shohei going
Yes.
on there.
Yes.
When you hit your first, you haven't hit a home run, right?
No, gosh, no.
When you do,
Gosh, no.
are you going to pimp it?
No. No chance. No chance. I mean,
You'll be so shocked that
I'll
you won't
surprise
even.
myself. I'll be running second and I realize it happened.
Yeah,
No,
just diving head
You'll
first.
just keep running into right field.
yeah. Oh man, they didn't catch it. Oh my gosh. No, yeah. I mean, who knows what I'll do? That could never happen. It could happen this year. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, you were talking about sort of coming up around similar times as Bodie. I think Adam and I were talking about a fun, quirky thing that you have is so the Cubs traded Donnie DeWeese to get you,
Yeah.
and then you guys were teammates because they just got DeWeese back, right?
Yes. We were teammates in Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Theo really doing some 4D chess there. That's
Yeah. I mean,
really just for a
he wanted
free.
Donnie back, so he got him back. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Have you guys talked about him being dealt to for you?
We've talked about it some, but I mean, it's one of those things. Maybe I mean,
Yeah.
it's who knows, you know, how it went down, all that stuff. So we talk about it some. It's kind of fun, but we affectionately called him the Don in AAA because there was a 2-month stretch in Iowa there where he was the best hitter alive. Like when he came up in a big situation and needed to hit, like you got to hit. So he affectionately earned the nickname the Don to all those guys in Iowa. So that was a lot of fun.
That's a good nickname. I mean,
It is.
yeah,
He embraced it, so it was good. It was fun.
yeah.
You have a nickname? I was trying to remember what your Players Weekend jersey was.
It's just Millsy. It's kind of boring. That was my players' weekend.
Sounds like what Joe Madden would have called you, I assume.
Yeah, well, I think he actually called me Sir Alec for some reason. I'm not sure
Oh,
where that came from or how I got a royalty attached to my name, but
I guess you came from the Royals, so you know.
maybe. I don't know. I think he explained to me one time his reasoning, but who knows? I don't remember.
Sure. Madden had a very charming way of saying a lot of words, and they were fun whether you understood what was happening or not, you know.
Oh yeah, half the time I didn't know what he was talking about. So
Yeah.
So I assume, obviously, having grown up a Cubs fan, you were excited to be traded to the Cubs. But I was wondering, like, you know, you're getting traded to a team that's much more in a win now position than the Royals were in that moment. Was there any kind of downside to that, knowing that maybe your route to the majors would have been easier had you stayed in Kansas City, or was that not even something you thought a lot about?
at the time, no, I had not thought about it, but obviously looking back, I mean, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but you know, it's one of those things where maybe I would have a better chance of having a lot more time in the big leagues than I do here. But at the same time, I mean, I've always tried to get the mindset, you know, I want to beat the best to be the best. So I mean, if this is a harder road for me to get there, and to have more success, you know, you can wish all you want where you were, or you know, be bitter about it, but I think you can't really do that in baseball, because I mean, it can end at any moment, and you just need to try to do what you can to you know, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
Right. Have you in these days that sort of, you know, have no meaning at this point, have you gotten into anything interesting with your quarantine free time? Like
Not really.
like
So
books wise, TV wise, anything?
well, I mean, I don't think anything out of the ordinary from everybody else. I mean, I watched Tiger King at one point.
Sure. Well, and I mean, like I went to college in Indiana, and everyone's losing their minds about Tiger King, and I'm like, there were some Tiger King kind of guys
Yeah,
where I was
yeah.
going to school, you know.
Well, I mean, that's Northwest Tennessee for you. There's a lot of guys like that. I don't know if they had tigers, but
How much would we have to pay you for you to change your walk-up music to a Joe Exotic song?
probably not a whole lot, to be honest with
Sure, yeah.
you.
Yeah, there'd
No,
be a certain amount of the crowd that would really mark out for it. That would be
I think they would love it, you know. So I got to create a
absolutely,
name for myself somehow. So,
yeah.
but no, I think we actually just got we just had a little boy this last fall. So for me,
Congrats,
it's
man.
been kind of trying to spend as much time as I can with him and my wife during this time. But
That's got to be a huge silver lining, I'm sure, because obviously you would have not had that time ordinarily.
yeah, I mean, she would have been out there with us. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to spend, you know, minus the road trips and stuff like that, we'd be home. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to spend all this time with him. So it's been awesome. You know, able to see a lot of first, got his first tooth, you know, stuff like that.
Uh,
Today actually he's really started sitting up really well. So it's been really cool. Been fun to watch. So
that's
That's really
great.
cool, man.
yeah.
That's very, very well timed, well scheduled, baby. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. We did all right with that. So
Yeah.
Well,
That's
we'll let you go here shortly, but I do have to ask a little bit more about that first start at Wrigley, because I have to imagine. I mean, obviously you'd pitched in the bigs before, but to walk out on that mound, because it's late August 2018, I think, if I have that right. Cubs are in the middle of a pennant race, and you're now starting in front of 40,000 people at Wrigley. What do you have the ability to like soak that in, or?
um I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think like you said, for me it was I think I was kind of forced into a situation that you know, maybe the front office and stuff like that didn't want me to jump into immediately, like you said, in a pennant race. But I mean, I think I kind of, you know, I relished the opportunity and thrived, and it was one of those things where I think me knowing the situation I was going into helped a lot. I was able to focus up and really, you know, pitch to my game and throw well. And I think that day it went well. So
Yeah, I think five and two thirds,
surprised
one
a lot
run.
of people,
Pretty good.
maybe, you know,
Yeah.
helped them make those decisions. So that was fun for me. You know, looking back, it was an experience I'll never forget. That's for sure.
And your first hit.
First hit too, yeah. So that was nice. Don't think I could have ever imagined getting a hit in the major leagues. You know, you always talk about
Oh
pitching.
yeah.
The last thing you think is talking about hitting. So
Who was the
Yeah.
hit off of? Do you remember?
it was off of Matt Harvey. It was off of
Oh,
him.
okay.
Pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, real hot name for a little
yeah.
while. Yeah.
So I'll take it. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's also good to get off the schneid, even as a pitcher with your hit early. Cause I know Lester had whatever it was, 0 for 67 before he got, or like something like that
yeah,
before he got his first. So yeah, nice to just get it out of the way
yeah. I was in a real
early.
slump, so I wanted to get it out of the way. So
Yeah.
0 for 0.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Let everybody know Mills can rake as soon as he
Yeah.
gets up there.
Yeah, that's funny. There's actually another story about Bodie. I think when I went up to bat, somebody, like, I think Bodie may have been up next or something like that. Somebody asked him, like, "Hey, this kid, is he a pretty good hitter?" And I think Bodie said something about, like, "Yeah, not really. Like, he's not great." And I, you know, got a hit and came back in the dugout. And Bodie was like, "Dude, you made me look bad, man." So I was like, "Well, that's what you get." So
Yeah, don't talk smack. You got to have
yeah,
belief. Yeah, you know, you should know the scouting report. He's seen you take cuts.
yeah. So that was
Yeah.
fun.
One last quarantine-related question: Who, if you have your own family to be quarantined with, which is nice, I'd
Yes,
imagine.
yes.
If you had to be quarantined with one or two teammates, who would be the best to be quarantined with? And you don't have to answer, but is there anyone who would be even affectionately a nightmare to be quarantined with?
Oh man, I don't know. It's funny you mentioned the compound because a lot of those guys that are there, good guys. I enjoy hanging out with them. I'd probably say Meckus, maybe Short, stuff like that. Obviously, I haven't spent a whole lot of time up in the big leagues yet to really get close to a lot of those guys.
Mhm.
So I think those two guys, maybe guys I'd want to spend time with during quarantine. Maybe I mean, it's just always going to be a lot of laughs.
Yeah, they seem
Stuff
like they're
like
having a
that.
good time.
I'm trying. I can't really think of anybody that I don't want to spend quarantine with, other than my wife, obviously. So
Sure.
no, but
Yeah, you get to trade off rooms and stuff.
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
you got a system.
no. It's been good. I enjoy being able to spend time with them. So
That's great. That's awesome.
Well, listen, man, we don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for doing this. It was really really cool of you to hop on for a bit.
yeah, it's no problem. Glad I was able to hook up with you guys. So
Yeah. And is there anywhere where can people follow you online, or is there anything you want to plug on your way out here that we can tell people about?
Go look up
Oof.
that first hit, everybody.
Yeah, look up
Yeah.
obviously the YouTube stuff. Watch him
Go look
drill
up
Mookie Betts.
Yes, I think both of my hits were combined exit velocity of about 92 miles an hour. So
Nice.
you can go look at them both. They're not very impressive. So, but no,
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything to plug or anything like that. I think I have like the Twitter and Instagram, the normal stuff. To be honest with you, don't even know my handles.
That's all right. Adam found it, so we're
Yeah, I
good.
think
Yeah.
you can search it and find it pretty
Well,
easy.
not everybody can be Justin Steele at Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Well, yeah, I need to
Pretty
have
good.
a name like that. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll brainstorm some stuff.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
when we did our initial before we thought the season would be canceled podcast, I think Kevin and I were pretty convinced that you were definitely going to be on the 26-man roster. So we're going to assume that that's still the case whenever things resume, and we look forward to seeing you at Wrigley in Arizona or wherever the heck games are
Yeah.
when they resume.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, ready and excited for the season to go. So yeah, let's do this.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thanks for doing it, Alec.
Keep doing curls with your newborn.
Yeah, I will for sure. Thank y'all.
All right,
Cool.
man. Thanks again.